Welcome back to Talking Soccer with Chris and Will. This is Will,
I'm Chris.
and today we're going to recap LA Galaxy's playoff chances and hopes, and along with OCSC's playoff hopes as well, and then go into the recent run of form for both teams, right?
Yep. But I think it has been a minute since we recorded a lot of soccer, right? It's been, 2-3 weeks now. So there's definitely been a lot going on with the Galaxy, OCSC. So yeah, I think there's quite a bit to discuss, right?
Yeah, but before we get into it, I know that it feels like every time we record, like something new happens in our lives. I know I started a new job and I've been kind of busy with that, you know, working for a tax firm now and doing that. So kind of switching fields a little bit. I've been going to some Galaxy games recently. The most recent one, I sold my tickets. I couldn't make it. But other than that, I've been going recently. How about you? What have you been up to?
Oh, nice, man. Well, first, congrats, new
Thanks,
job.
man.
Nothing too much. I think just kind of focusing on work now that we're kind of settled into in the new apartment. I
Yeah.
feel like everything. I was like building furniture a couple weeks ago, so we're
Mhm.
kind of through all that. No, I think the only thing we're just out in Temecula last weekend, just kind of for the day.
Oh, that's right. For
With
your brother's birthday, right?
yeah, and my sister. So just kind of went out there for the afternoon. Yeah, the weather was kind of bad. It was like raining,
Oh, really?
and
Oh,
then
man. Oh, that's right.
yeah, and then but it was nice. Just drank a little bit of wine. Some they also have like good. I think it's called Wilson Creek or something like that. I don't know if you've been to that one, but they have
Yeah.
like good wine. But the sparkling wine is top notch too. If you're into that,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's a good vibe. But nah, other than that, just kind of work. So nothing, and then just just trying to keep up with all the soccer, especially with like the European leagues, in full swing. So it's like weekends, it's like soccer, football, right? College football. Yeah, my wife's like really into college football. I'm not
Oh,
too
really?
much, but yeah, the weekend's
That's
like
cool.
packed. And then there's games right now. Galaxy's playing as we speak.
Yeah. That's a first for us.
Yes.
We're actually recording live while there's games
Hmm.
playing. We're kind of spoiled. We have OCSC on here, and we have Galaxy obviously playing too right now. I got one on
Hmm.
my iPad and the other one on TV.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna
we
say
got
I'm gonna put up my
mm,
iPad right now. Let's see what OC. I think they kicked off already, right? Like 20 minutes ago.
yeah, recently. Hopefully we can talk about some goals
Yeah,
while
that'd
we're
be nice.
live.
It's kind of like a live podcast, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You could say,
But
but anyways, but no, that's good then. Definitely, I think hopefully the new job goes well. That's always exciting, right?
yeah,
So,
new beginnings. Yep.
um, yeah, so I guess we could jump into it, right? You want to get started with kind of recapping some of the recent games for Alexei?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should start off with Galaxy for sure. I know they since we last potted, I they were playing LAFC that weekend. Obviously, we know how that turned out, that 4-2 result. After that, they played Minnesota, come from behind win, that 4-3 win. I'm not sure if you caught that. And since then, they played Austin and Portland, both draws. Really up and down kind of
Hmm.
last few games, right? There's a lot of positives in there from the come from behind wins, but there's also a lot of negatives. There's a, a lot to say about maybe the back line. I personally at this point feel it's Bond. I really feel like he's an issue, a big issue, especially now that I've seen him and some of the blunders he makes. I don't know how you feel about that, but at this point I feel like a lot of that should go to Bond, but regardless, they are where they are. Right now, looking at the playoffs, outside looking in. But what do you think of of the results so far?
Yeah, I think it's been a mixed bag. It's not. I think I was kind of expecting them to make a little run here towards the end of the season, but it's I think what I've liked was their resilience in some of these games. I think in the first part of the season, right, some of these games would have been lost. There'd be a
Mhm.
loss. Like it was difficult for them to
Come back.
mount any comeback or anything. So I like the way they're playing. They're they're a lot more fight in them. It sounds like, but obviously the results haven't. Aside from the Minnesota comeback, I think the LAFC game was kind of disappointing. Right, it was exciting, but the defense. I feel like the defense kind of over the last 3-4 games has just been bad. They're leaking goals. I mean, they're scoring quite a bit, right? But I think at the back they're not doing too well, especially with all the injuries. I
Yeah.
mean, offensively they look pretty good, right? Billy Sharp, right? He's already we're talking about it right before we started. Billy Sharp, second leading scorer for the team, right? And he's only been
Already. Yeah.
yeah. I think I looked at the stats. It's 6 goals so far, but he's only played in, let's see, yeah, four games. So yeah, so he's been a great signing, especially it was a free
Free.
free
Yeah.
agent
He
signing,
came
right?
over from England.
hmm
Yeah, for free.
Yeah, so I mean, he's a goal poacher, and he's really showing kind of what he was doing out in England, right? So, but
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
I think
he's coming
it's.
from that experience, right? So I mean,
Mhm,
he's done it before. So yeah,
yeah.
honestly, the amount of goals he's been scoring is pretty impressive if you think about it. Honestly, I mean, I hate to make this comparison, but had more league goals than Messi has already. You know,
hmm
and I know in previous pods we've talked about how the Galaxy are doing it a little bit different than Messi and the Miami squad are doing, but so far, I mean, the it seems close. I mean, the Galaxy are either one win away from looking like they're closer into the playoffs, or one loss away, looking like they're going to be eliminated altogether.
Yeah,
How do you
yeah,
see their
but yeah, I
their
think
playoff
I still
picture
they
right now?
have. I feel like they still have a chance. I don't know about you, but I think with some of the recent results, it's dwindling a little bit. But the bottom half of the table isn't doing. There's really no team that's doing well. I would say maybe FC Dallas, but other than that, every other team, I think they're kind of similar form or doing a little bit worse than LA Galaxy. So, uh,
Yeah.
looking at the standings, they're separated by 6 points with for the final spot, and then 7 points and then additional point for the eighth spot. So, if they're able to go get a couple wins here down the stretch, I feel like they have a decent opportunity. I think if we're looking here, I'll put up the last couple games. So they're just about to kick off for Seattle Sounders. So that's a difficult game, I think, but I think they need a
Away
result
too, it's going to
here.
be there.
It's
So
away
it's
too.
going to,
So yeah, they're top three, right? Seattle Sounders right now in the conference. But then it's a mixed bag. I think the final games, right? So Seattle Sounders tonight. That's a difficult, away game. Then they have Minnesota United again. That should be a. I feel like that has to be a win there. And then Real Salt Lake, and then FC Dallas. So for that last game is going to be, if they're in a position to squeeze into the final spots, that's going to be that. I could already see that being a decider, right? 6 points away from FC Dallas, right? They have the ninth spot. If they make up some ground and they're 3 games, 3 points or less behind, right? That's kind of a play, kind of a playoff. What do you? I guess a playoff, right? For the final spot, basically, or elimination game, actually.
yeah, and it feels like it's going to come down to that final game, right? It feels like it's going
Mhm.
to come down to that game. Is it Austin, right? No.
The final game
Oh,
is
for
FC
Dallas.
Dallas. Yeah, yeah.
Dallas, that's right.
So
And it's on my
that's going to
birthday
be
too. I
yeah.
just remembered that. That's actually my birthday itself. So
And I think that's a
hopefully,
home. The final 2 games are home games, right? So
yeah,
if
yeah.
I'm not mistaken, so Real Salt Lake and then FC Dallas. So they should be good games, but I'm still holding out hope. Their form has been relatively good. Despite
Hmm.
the leaky defense. But yeah, I think they're showing some resilience. So I'm hopeful they're able to get some results here down the stretch. The only thing that worries me is kind of their injury situation. It's not looking, they just keep it just keeps adding, right? I think Puig is, I don't know what you've heard, but sounds like he's banged up, right? We have Costa, right, has kind of been banged up as well. So those are kind of major, major driving forces, right, for them. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
if especially if Puig is out, right, for final run of games, that's going to be really tough to replace.
Yeah, he's questionable right now to start this game. Big emphasis on the questionable, right? That's what Greg Vanny said in a pre-meeting on social media. I don't know if you follow him on Instagram, but he's posting pictures of him in a boot, but also playing golf. So I don't know how those two
Oh,
things
okay, okay.
go, but
He's not that banged
so
up.
yeah, I think it's more related to his knee, maybe like not knee, I'm sorry, his ankle. So maybe like an ankle
Mhm.
sprain or something like that. So hoping he'll be back, but in reality, real picture, we don't. I personally don't see him back the last 3 games. You try to rest him, but we'll see. I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like almost every one of these games now is a must win for the LA Galaxy. They
I think, yeah, they just need to keep up with the teams in front of them, which is the major. Besides Colorado Rapids, they're out of the playoff hunt altogether. So, yeah, it's the bottom half. So Austin FC, they've already played right to a draw. Minnesota
yeah,
United, right, direct competition, and FC Dallas. They've all either played or they're going to play them, right? So Minnesota, I think Minnesota. I'm circling Minnesota and FC Dallas as must wins. Seattle and Salt Lake, they have to get some sort of result. But if they lose, especially if they lose tonight, it's going to be difficult. Then, if the teams in front of them get a result, even tougher now from going after tonight. So yeah,
yeah,
I feel like must wins. It seems like.
yeah, for sure. Most wins. I mean, it's going to be tough if they don't get at least 2 wins out of this three. I don't even think a tie is going to be good enough to do it now, but who knows? I mean, again, we're going to be watching a live game here pretty shortly, so the next pod we'll be able to talk a little bit more about that playoff
Yeah.
picture for the LA Galaxy. Now, anything else you want to add on the Galaxy? I feel like we're ready to switch over to OCSC.
No, I think no. Just hopefully we get a positive result tonight. But yeah, the only thing I'd want to add is hopefully we see a different maybe mix at the back. I know not to pile on or anything, but Kabinga hasn't been. I'm sorry, Mabinga hasn't
Mavinga,
been playing well at all. So I think if I
and I think
see
he's injured too, so
yeah,
that's
so
good
that's
and bad, right?
unfortunate, but yeah, hopefully he was. I was hoping he was not in tonight's lineup. So he's. I think he's a solid defender. He just has a lot of like hiccups, especially. I don't know if you remember LAFC game. It was rough, that basically gave the game away. But anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
I think we'll have a better picture, yeah, next time we get together. But yeah, I think we could move on to OCSC, and yeah, kind of similar, a little bit different situation for them, right?
Yeah, a little bit different situation for OCSC. The difference with them is that they've actually been losing games recently, and they were kind of the opposite as of Galaxy recently with a good run of form, actually winning out games, sitting high in the table. But now they're kind of on the opposite swing of that, where they've been losing in the last few games. I think they're even losing right now 1-0. So they're still right now in fifth place, so they're not going to be too far from that playoff push right there, right dab in the middle, but they can't keep losing games like they have been, or else
No.
they are going to be looking at a lower seed. And right now, if the playoffs were to start today for OCSC, they would be playing the Oakland Roots, which are our arch nemesis, if you can say, right? They're our
Mhm.
Achilles heel, the Roots. So you know that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So I think for Galaxy, for OC, their main goal is to try to get a higher seed going into this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially, I guess they were on a good run of form for I guess after the sacking of the manager, right? They had the new manager come in, take over. And then since then they had, they I think really impressive right run of form. They ran up the table into the top half, but yeah, I think the last, like you said, 3 4 games, they've struggled. Either I I think it's been more maybe of a dip in form. I don't know. Have you've seen the games, but yeah, their form just has gone down a little bit. So they drew after their draw to El Paso. They lost to the Colorado Spring. That's kind of where it all started, right? Then they got routed by San Antonio. And then last week they drew against the Phoenix Rising. So yeah, 2 points of the last four matches, right? Looking at the schedule. So
Yeah.
it hasn't looked good. Looking at the standings now, they're clinging on to the top half of the table, or kind of in the middle now. So they're currently in the fifth seed. So yeah, I think the momentum's on their side. So hopefully they could kind of pick that up going into the playoffs. I think that's typical. That's usually critical, right? To kind of have some positive momentum going in.
Yeah, you definitely want to have some momentum going into the playoffs. You don't want to go in there losing a bunch of games and things like that. But really, you're looking at this OCSC side to kind of switch it around, especially in the next two or well, there's a total of 3 games left, but you want them to turn it around even in this game right now that they're trailing, 1-0 already in the 34th minute, which is kind of a trend I've been seeing with OCSC too, is that
Mhm.
they've been giving up a lot of early goals, a lot of late goals. Except that route, there's just been mistakes, on that back line, similar to the LA Galaxy. So yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, I've just kind of seen them struggle a little bit more, kind of out of character based on their form, right? That they were on. So yeah, I think the defense, maybe some errors in the defense, right? And but I think it was bound to happen. They had very impressive form for a while there, right? Kind of when they made their run, right, with the new manager. I think it was just maybe bad luck here, but just the form not being where it should be. I think from I was kind of curious looking at their offensive stats. Milan Ilaski, as usual, he's kind of banging in the goals still. But aside from Thomas Among, when he's been contributed with 7 goals, I think overall the contribution from the team probably has dipped. I think I've seen the dip recently, so that could probably has played a factor too. I think aside from like the defensive lapses, right? The offense kind of hasn't kind of lacked or kind of fallen off a little bit too during this bad run.
Yeah, I think OC only needs a game to solidify their playoff spot
Hmm.
or even a tie in the next few games. So for them, I feel like they're going to definitely get into the playoffs. It's going to really just be a matter of what their run of form is going to be going into it. If they can recap or regain any of the old run of form they had, right? Because they know how to do it. And then same thing with the Galaxy. These two teams know how to win. It's just a matter of them actually applying it to the field. And I know that's easier said than done, but they got to do it. Playoffs are coming.
Yeah. I think it's down to the last. So including tonight, this is the second to last game, right, of the regular season. So yeah, they have the Colorado Spring bringing down their necks, right? I think they could either move up in the table or fall off. I think at least the worst they can do is the sixth spot, but I think at the top of the table, aside from maybe the Sacramento and San Antonio, I think other than that, I think it's not daunting, but
Mhm.
I think they just need to hopefully kind of get a result tonight and last game of the season as well. So kind of try to get as high as possible. I think up the table kind of gives them a little better shot at it. But yeah, I guess we'll see. But I think it should be interesting once they're in the playoffs. Remember a couple years ago they came in, was it eighth spot, right, or last spot? And
When
they
they won
kind
the
of
chip.
ran the table. Yeah, so I feel like that's the difference, right? And especially like in MLS and the USL, once in the playoffs, you never know what could happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. A team that's not even existing next year is still sitting above us in the table. That's kind of frustrating. Yeah,
I don't know what is. I remember. So, are they going to be disbanded at the end of the season?
they're the Loyal, San Diego Loyal will be disbanded at the end of the season. From what I read, it was basically issues with finding a stadium. They were trying to get that
Hmm.
MLS seed, that MLS approval, but Landon Donovan couldn't come up with enough money, enough investors. So MLS ended up giving the team to a group of investors that already had a stadium for for the team, basically for that MLS expansion team. So basically San Diego had a fold at that point because they couldn't compete with that other market. So it's unfortunate, but they are our rivals, so it's kind of happy to see them go. But Landon Donovan's going to be looking for a job pretty soon. Hopefully, come he might come knocking to Galaxy's door. So
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm depending on how the Galaxy finish the season. It'll be interesting to see what the direction is, right, for the manager position. I think especially I think he's done a good job, right, but recently, but I'm not sure. I feel there could be
yeah,
a change, right, depending on how they close out the season.
yeah, I think it's going to come down for Greg Vanny and the Galaxy tenure. I think it's going to come down to next year. I think he's safe this year and maybe even this off season, but it's going to come down to next year how he's doing at the beginning of the year and then go from there. But the Galaxy are known to bring in more veteran guys, someone with the reputation of
Mhm.
what. So who knows? But yeah, I'm kind of falling off the Vanny train. Honestly, I was big on him throughout. Right, I started falling off when I went to that meet and greet. He was kind of weird, like he was kind of douche. So, but ever
Oh,
since
really?
yeah, he was kind of a douche. But no, that I was joking about that. I mean, that doesn't affect how I see him as a manager, obviously. But just looking at his recent performances, though, and some of the substitutions, late substitutions, questionable decisions, keep leaving Bond in there. It's making me not really trust Vanny so much. So we'll see, like you said, where that goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting. I think, yeah, I was going to add, he's developed a couple. I think he's like integrated some players into the first team, right? But yeah, I think, yeah, I'm not quite sure yet how I feel about the manager role. I guess we'll just have to see. But yeah, I think they're definitely going to have to make some changes this offseason, regardless, right? So hopefully a step moving forward and building on at least building on kind of the success right in the second half of the season, regardless of where if they are able to make the playoffs or not. I feel like it's it was a successful second half, even though they didn't win. Let's just say they don't make the playoffs just because of the position they were in to start the season. We're remember it looked quite bleak, right? So kind of where they were at that point to now, I think they've made quite a bit of progress.
Yeah, and then keep in mind this offseason for sure we're going to be expecting some vacancies in that designated player spots. Names have been floating around, really high level names have been floating around. I'm not sure if you follow what's called Atletico Madrid, but Antonio Griezmann has said he wants to come to MLS, in
Hmm.
particular Los Angeles. Before I know the rumor was that Chucky Lozano was going to sign with LAFC, but it came out that it was actually LA Galaxy that was in for Chucky Lozano. So, those are names that were heavily floated with the Galaxy. Who knows what's going to happen during the offseason?
Hmm.
But again, there are going to be some vacant designated player spots that are going to be needed. And goal by the Saunders already, man. LA LA Galaxy down 1-0 to the Saunders right now live. And OCSC also down 1-0
Oh no, man! I think
for
my
their
things.
comeback.
I think mine's a little. My feed's a little delayed. Oh, that what a goal! Damn.
Yeah. Did you see it now?
Ah, jeez. That was not good
It's
defending.
Bond, man. I swear, dude, it's Bond.
To be
We should
honest,
make
that's
all.
not good defending. But yeah, they was it 5 minutes into it. Jeez. Anyways, yeah, this is kind of depressing
No,
now.
yeah, and this is a trend, with the LA Galaxies. they've given up that low. Yeah, that's awful defending. Awful defending. That was Costa and Zavaleta. Yeah, it's the story of the Galaxy,
Yeah,
right?
that's not.
Having to come back from that early deficit.
Yeah, it doesn't help, but yeah,
Yeah, we'll see
yeah, that
how the season shapes up. I mean, I think that's it for me though, and OCSC. I think just to recap, LA Galaxy are looking at the playoffs, outside in right now. They're trying to get into that playoff picture. They need I believe, at least win now or two of three. Right now, currently, they're losing 1-0, but again, they have that fight in them to come back. So next episode, we can recap on what the playoff picture is then, or what the
mhm.
future holds for the LA Galaxy. For OCSC, we talked about the recent dip form, and us wanting to them to pick it up right before the playoffs. Right, it's not a good time to be dipping in form right before playoff season. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think you covered it. Hopefully, we'll definitely have a better picture where Galaxy sits next time we get together. And yeah, I guess we'll talk about how the playoff picture is going to either look for the Galaxy and CSC, or at least one of them is going to be in the playoffs for sure. So we'll definitely. I'm looking forward to at least OCFC SC making a good run in the playoffs when they get in there. But hopefully on a with some momentum going in. But no, that's all I had.
Yeah, at least one of the two, but hopefully both of them, honestly, at this point. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. Remember to follow us on our socials, Talking Soccer with Chris and Will. You can check out our personal socials on there as well if you want to follow us and check out our content. But anything else you want to add, Chris?
No, no. The only thing is before we leave, hopefully the Ange ball is going. You're enjoying it for Tano.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I This feels different. As a Tottenham fan, I'm watching every game now. This every game is so fun to watch, but this feels different. It feels different than when Poach was a coach. With Poach, it felt like it was a longer progression for him to build a team upwards. Angeball, though, he's coming in there with the guns blazing, man. It feels like a different squad, but yet we have the same squad. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
exciting to watch. I'll be
that's
watching
fun.
this weekend. I'll be watching this weekend for sure. And watch out, City. We're
Yeah,
coming.
I don't know about that, but city's doing. They're just kind of trucking along. I think they had a hiccup, but and then with their neighbors, they're not doing so well, right? So
Yeah, that dumpster
they got
fire.
some issues, right? They got some issues, but anyways, but yeah, that's all I got. So I guess we'll talk on the next pod.
Yep. See ya.
All right, see ya.
See ya.